Now, most of y'all probably remember this guy named Adolph Caesar from the classic movie called The Color Purple as old Mr. Johnson, the father of Mr. Johnson played by Danny Glover. Or if you've seen the classic movie called A Soldier Story when he played Sergeant Waters. Adolph Caesar was a well-accomplished Shakespearean actor that came from the stage play scene. He has done over 300 stage plays, and when it comes to voice narrations, you can hear his voice in over 15,000 TV and radio commercials for the products. Wow, that's crazy. He has narrated so many movie trailers and specials. I'm talking about the Exorcist trailer to the Little Candy Mints called Search. He was supposed to be the voice on Michael Jackson's hit song Thriller, but they ended up choosing Vincent Price instead. But he had one of the most distinctive voices in Hollywood. Adolph Caesar did the slogan, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste," for the United Negro College Fund commercial. Legendary actor Sidney Poitier said he was an exquisite actor, but it's crazy how he died. He died on the set while filming his last movie at a very young age. And it was at a time when he was about to become one of the elite actors in Hollywood too. So let's get into his story, right? Now, Adolph Caesar was born on December 5th, 1933 in Harlem, New York. And he was the youngest of three sons from his parents. His mother was Dominican and his father was black. Now, he's been acting ever since he was a child. He said it was just something for him to do when he was younger, but then he realized that's what he wanted to do in life. And by the age of 12 years old, he ended up catching laryngitis, which later on would turn his voice very deep. He said as a teenager, girls didn't want to see him. They just wanted to call up and hear his voice after the laryngitis made his voice deep. He also said around that age he had to fight all the time because his name was Adolf, like Adolf Hitler, in which everybody hated at the time because it was during World War II. He said kids would pick on him because he was real short and small. He had orange colored curly hair, and he got picked on so much that he even had to fight girls because they picked on him too. Now, in 1952, after graduating high school, he decided to join the Navy. And when he enlisted, it was during the Korean War. He was in the Navy for 5 years as a hospital corpsman. And he made the rank of Chief Petty Officer after saving some soldiers. So once he got out of the Navy, he decided to get into the theater. And he went on to study drama at New York University, graduating in 1962. Now, once he graduated, the first big play he landed was a role in a play called The Blacks. And he was so good that he took the role from the lead guy. But then he started getting into voiceover work. He did a lot of voice narrations to make a living for commercials and companies. In 1968, he did an episode on a CBS TV show called The Wild Wild West. In 1969, he appeared in one of the longest running American soap operas, which was called General Hospital. That same year, he starred in a movie called Che, which is about Che Guevara, who was the leader of the Cuban Revolution. In 1970, he joined the Negro Ensemble Company, and he also landed a role in a TV movie called The Challenge. In 1972, he played Frederick Douglass in a play called Frederick Douglass Through His Own Words. And he did some other plays like The River Niger, The Brownsville Road, and the one-man show poetry program called The Square Root of Soul. Then he wanted to take his acting to another level, and he went on and got some classical speech training. That's when he joined the New York Shakespearean Festival, the Lincoln Center Repertory Company, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, the Minnesota Theater Company, the American Shakespeare Company in Stratford, Connecticut, and the Center Theater Group at the Mark Taper Forum in Los Angeles. He was a big Shakespeare fan. Look, in an interview, he said he studied Shakespeare to death. He knew more about Shakespeare than Shakespeare knew about himself. But he still dealt with racism when it came to playing them Shakespearean roles, though, because he was the only black person at that company. He said when he did one season at a Shakespearean repertory company, one of the directors told him that he had a marvelous voice and he knew the king's English well. He spoke iambic and pentameter, but he needed to go to New York and get a good color role. Wow. Basically, they told him, you're good at what you do, but you need to try out for a black person role, not a white role. Now, in 1975, he did the voice for one of the characters in the animated cartoon called Tarzan, Shame of the Jungle. In 1977, he also did the voice narration for the PBS documentary series called Men of Bronze. In 1979, he starred in the blaxploitation movie called The Hitter with Ron O'Neal. In 1980, he starred in a Bruce Lee movie called Fist of Fear, Touch of Death, which is also known as The Dragon and the Cobra. He played the TV reporter talking about the legacy of Bruce Lee. In 1981, he did the voice narrations for another PBS documentary series called I Remember Harlem. But that same year, in 1981, he landed the role of Sergeant Waters in the classic play called A Soldier's Play, written by Charles Fuller. That play also has some future stars in it like Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson, who also came from the Negro Ensemble Company. And Adolph mentored and took them under his wing. In 1982, he won the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Featured Actor in a play for his role in the play called Soldier's Play. And the Soldier's Play itself won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. The following year, in 1983, he won an Obie Award for Outstanding Off-Broadway Achievement for his role in that same play called A Soldier's Play. You know the reason why he did such a good job playing that role of Sergeant Waters in that play? Because see, he was in the military for 5 years and he saw a lot of things. Plus, that Soldier's Play, it went on for over 3 years, and he said he played that role of Sergeant Waters over 600 times in that play. Wow. So he got that whole role mastered of Sergeant Waters. Even legendary actress / singer Lena Horne, she had went to the play and saw him, and she told him how great he was. You know, after he won that Obie Award, you would think that Hollywood would be calling him, but it wasn't. He said in an interview, right? This is what Adolph said in an interview. He said the Obie Award still don't pay his bills. His main source of income was still doing voiceovers for commercials like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Nikon cameras, Search Mints, the game system Atari, and some other things. Like I said earlier, he did the slogan, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste" for the United Negro College Fund commercial, if y'all remember that commercial. He also said he'd rather be on stage, but it's just not enough money to survive. But that Soldier's Play was a big hit on the road, even though it never made it to Broadway though. Charles Fuller, the guy who wrote that play, said in an interview that the reason why that play never played on Broadway was because he refused to drop the last line, which was the line, "You have to get used to black people being in charge." But then a Canadian filmmaker named Norman Jewison loved the play so much that he wanted to turn it into a movie. He changed the name from A Soldier's Play to A Soldier's Story. And the crazy part is nobody wanted to support the movie because it was a black story based on World War II. And a lot of companies like Warner Brothers, Universal, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer turned it down because they didn't think it would make money at the box office. But Columbia was interested, and they put up the budget to make the movie. And in 1984, A Soldier Story was released with only a $5 million budget to make it, but it ended up making $22 million in the box office. And it's a cult classic, in my opinion. The crazy part is the movie was shot in Arkansas, and President Bill Clinton at that time was the governor of Arkansas. And one day he had stopped by to see what was going on and how the shooting was going, and he was inspired when he got on set. So Bill Clinton let the Arkansas Army National Guard be in one of the scenes because the director could not afford to pay an army of extras. Plus, Bill Clinton let them use the Fort Chaffee United States Army Ready Reserve Base at Fort Smith. You know, that was nice of Bill Clinton to get involved and help that movie. And you know, of course, Adolph, he played Sergeant Waters, just like in the play. And for some reason, he didn't think he would get cast for the movie because he thought that they wanted a big-time Hollywood actor for the movie. But, you know, that movie, that's a great movie, y'all. One of my favorite movies. For those that don't know and haven't seen the movie, it's about a black captain investigating the murder of a black sergeant on a Louisiana Army base in 1944 during the Jim Crow days. It's a murder mystery with a crazy ending. I'm not going to give the movie away for those who haven't seen it yet. But I want to say this though. Now, in that movie, Adolph had a line that was real deep because one of my uncles told me the same thing when he was in the Army. He said he had went to the cafe during World War I, and the white guys had told the white women that black men had tails like monkeys. And they had paid a black soldier some money to put a fake tail on his butt and had him dancing on tables, eating bananas and making monkey sounds with a crown on his head. And they call him King of the Monkeys. Wow. In an interview, right, Adolph said he cries every time he sees that scene in the movie. That was the most difficult scene for him. Wow. That's crazy. Because like I said, my uncle had actually told me the same story when he was stationed over in Germany. He said the white women had asked him where were they tails like monkeys. That's crazy, man. But anyway, now, you know, a lot of black stars was in that movie too, A Soldier Story, before their careers blew up. Like Denzel Washington, like I said earlier, he was also in the play. He played Private Peterson. A Soldier Story was actually Denzel Washington's second movie he appeared in. Now, actor Howard Rollins played the black captain. David Alan Grier was in there. Robert Townsend was in that movie, and many more. Singer Patti LaBelle was also in that movie. She played Big Mary and was the bartender at the bar where all the soldiers used to hang out at. I think this was Denzel Washington's breakout role too for this movie. In my opinion, this was his breakout movie. Now, Adolph Caesar for this role as Sergeant Vernon Waters received an Oscar award and Global Globe Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. But he won an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture. He also won the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award for Best Supporting Actor. And the movie itself was nominated for an Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, and a Writers Guild Award of America. It won an Edgar Award and won the Golden Prize at the 14th Moscow International Film Festival. The director, Norman Jewison, was nominated for an Oscar. The writer, Charles Fuller, was nominated for an Oscar. But I'm telling y'all, Soldier Story was a great movie, y'all. Please check it out when y'all get time. Now, that same year, in 1984, he did an episode for the CBS soap opera called God and Light. After that, the following year, in 1985, Steven Spielberg casted him for another classic movie called The Color Purple, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. He played Danny Glover's father, old Mr. Johnson. And to me, he was one of the funniest. He had the funniest role in that movie, man. Did y'all know he was only 50 years old when he played that role? I thought he was much older than that. But he had the best lines though. Whoopi Goldberg spit in his cup and he drank that glass of water, man. The way he drank that water was so funny. Adolph is a great actor, y'all. What was that funny line he said at the dinner table about Celie? Maybe she can sweep out the caboose. That's crazy. What do you say? You just couldn't rest till you got her in your house. She's black as tar, nappy headed, legs like baseball bats, and I heard she got that nasty woman's disease. Oh man, I probably seen that movie over 100 times growing up, man. But The Color Purple, and The Color Purple did over $100 million in the box office, though. Little side note: when I was doing research on this story, Shaka Khan said Steven Spielberg wanted her to play Celie first, but she turned it down. Wow. I don't know what y'all think. Y'all think Shaka Khan could have did a better job as Celie than Whoopi Goldberg? What y'all think? I don't know. But anyway, now, also that same year, in 1985, he appeared in a TV show called Tales from the Dark Side. In 1986, he played on the ABC TV show called Fortune Dane with actor Carl Weathers, but that show was canceled after only 6 episodes due to low ratings. And also that same year, he did the voice of Hot Wing in the animated cartoon series called Silverhawks. Who remember that cartoon, Silverhawks? Now, he had a lead role in a movie called Club Paradise, starring Robin Williams. He also starred in an episode for The Twilight Zone, and he was in an ABC after school special. But on March 6, 1986, Adolph Caesar died from a heart attack while filming a movie. Now, the story goes, it was his second day on the set, filming a comedy adventure movie called Tough Guys, starring Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas in Los Angeles for Walt Disney Productions. And when he got there, he had told the staff he wasn't feeling good. Then he started feeling dizzy, and he collapsed and went into cardiac arrest. That's when the staff members called the paramedics and they got him to the hospital, but a few minutes later, he was pronounced dead in the emergency room. He had suffered a fatal heart attack. Wow. Basically died on a movie set, y'all. That's sad, man. So that movie he was filming that day called Tough Guys, they replaced him with actor Eli Wallach. And at his funeral, man, a lot of stars showed up to pay their respects, like Denzel Washington, and Patti LaBelle sung How Great Thou Art. After his death the following year, in 1987, the Negro Ensemble Company celebrated its 20th anniversary and honored Adolph Caesar with an award named after him called the Adolph Caesar Performing Arts Award. And the first recipient of that award was Lena Horne. And that's nice of them to keep his legacy alive, the Negro Ensemble Company, for doing that, man. Robert Townsend, who played alongside with him in the movie A Soldier Story, Robert Townsend said after Adolph passed, he dedicated his movie Hollywood Shuffle to him. That's how much love he had for him, because they became real close. Robert Townsend said him, Adolph, Denzel Washington, and David Alan Grier had formed a pact while shooting the movie A Soldier Story, and they would hang out every day together. Years later, the Soldiers play will be back on stage with new actors like Taye Diggs, Anthony Mackie, Blair Underwood, Wood Harris, and many more. It's just sad because Adolph Caesar, he was getting ready to be one of the top actors in Hollywood. When he passed away, he was married. He had two daughters. Tiffany was 15, Alexandra was 5, and he had a 17-month-old son. I know they all grown up now, and hopefully one day they put out a book about their father's life. That'll be great. In the new version of The Color Purple, it was actor Lou Gossett Jr. who played old Mr. Johnson, and he just passed away. It's crazy because both of them passed away in March. Wow. Adolph Caesar was only 52 years old. He was young, man. 52 years old. Rest in peace, Adolph Caesar.